Dan, great pleasure to talk to you. Heard a lot about you on new media already. Can't avoid it, really. You seem to be very good in the way you're using new media to try to get your career, I won't say kick-started because you're doing very well, but to get it to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I've tried to do is become the first Twitter-powered racing driver. And I mean, in the space of a few months, I've managed to get a huge amount of support. I think I'm now up to nearly 1,800 followers on Twitter. To sort of try and, well, we had the GoFundMe page, gofundme.com/DanWellsRacing, which proved a great success. We raised over £8,500, which has enabled me to make the move out to Asia. I mean, really, without the support of over 100 sponsors, through Twitter, Facebook, all these different things, I wouldn't be racing this year. So I've got a lot to thank for that.
New media in general is amazing. I mean, the Flying Lap only exists because of new media. There's another good example. But I'm just interested, before we get into your racing, what do you find to be the most effective form of new media? Facebook, Twitter, websites?
I'd have to say it's got to be Twitter, because the thing about websites, you upload things to the websites, but it's not, the user actually has to go on there and look at it. Twitter, it's completely different, because you're putting stuff out there which people are automatically, if they follow you, it's going into their timeline. So you can upload something. I mean, the good thing about it, you could upload a website link, which makes the website a lot more useful, because people are actually going to click on it from their Twitter, whereas perhaps they wouldn't have done just from the website alone. So I'd say that's, and you can provide a lot of debate around it. A lot of people, there's a lot more buzz than there is around Facebook, I think. So I'd have to say Twitter on that one.
Well, let's get down to the racing. We know you've got talent. Well, I know you've got talent because I've spoken to Rob Wilson about you, and you've done several days with Rob, and he rates you very highly. But like everybody else in racing, every young driver out there, you face the problem of how to raise sponsorship and how to get the budgets. And more racing is being determined by drivers taking money to the team. Well, it is virtually at every level now, including Formula One. But you're not afraid to take jumps and leaps in other directions. We spoke to Jack Hawksworth the other day. He's out there in America racing Star Mazda, having done a season of Renault UK. And now you're looking very creatively, I think, at racing in Asia, not just Asia, but more specifically China.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing was, come November, I just finished second in the final series in Formula Renault UK, and I had no budget at all. I mean, this is where I started the GoFundMe page to actually give us some options. I mean, Renault wasn't looking to be an option for us, and then, of course, the whole series collapsed. And, I got a phone call from my manager, Dave Madrick, and he said, "How do you fancy going to Asia?" And I sort of sat down and I looked at things, and there's not many other British drivers out there. The way the economy's going, everything is going east. So like you say, drivers bring in budgets to the teams. The best way to get to Formula One is to have a lot of money, and I think that I can make it over in Asia.
Well, and I think you can too, and not only you, but others. And it's an untapped market. To me, it's astonishing that although we have a Chinese Grand Prix, the Formula One industry as a whole has actually done very little to back up its presence in China, with infiltration, for example, into the various internet portals that exist there, which are huge. And for young guys like you with plenty of ambition and drive, that is an opportunity, I think. It's an open book ready to be written upon. Of course, one thing that would be a massive help would be, of course, if you could try and learn some of the local lingo. I don't know if you thought about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ni hao ma. I've been starting to learn my Mandarin. Only a few little bits I've been picking up, but it's definitely good to be able to sort of greet someone. You give your business card with two hands. So be able to speak a bit of their language. They appreciate that, and so that's definitely going to be one of my major targets in my what little spare time I have to actually learn Mandarin out there.
So tell us about the Formula Pilota Championship in which you're entered.
Yeah, well, basically, it was meant to be the new Formula Renault UK car. So it's a Tata chassis. It's now running in the Formula R Bath series in Europe. It runs with a 1.4 turbo Fiat engine. And it's very similar to the Formula Renault, really. The biggest difference has got to be the turbo engine. but it runs on Yokohama F3 tyres, so it provides a good amount of grip. And the feedback you get through the car, the steering is very light, quite a bit lighter than the Renault, but it gives good feedback, and I really enjoy driving the car.
And you've done a little bit of testing already. Tell us how it's been going so far.
Yeah, we went to Zhuhai for a 2-day test. You only get 3 30-minute sessions at Zhuhai, but my first time in the car, it was absolutely monsoon conditions. I mean, rivers in the braking zones and everything. You had to sort of brake before the river, go through an aquaplane, and then sort of stop at the other side. But it was great fun. We were P1 in the first morning session. As it dried out, we had a few problems with the car, just sort of to do with the throttle and braking positions. Due to my, fitting me in the car, we had one problem with the brake balance touching the throttle, which obviously wasn't helping very much. But we've got that sorted for the next test. So I'm sure we'll press on and get a good baseline with the car.
And what sort of budgets are involved, Dan, and how did you choose the team?
Well, basically, the budget you'd sort of be looking at around about just over €100,000 for the season. But it all came about literally as a result of my manager, Dave Madwick. And I mean, I've gone over there. I've met with my team, KCMG. I'm impressed with the setup. John O'Hara is the team manager over there, who was the A1 GP driver. So I think, given a bit of testing, going into the first race, I'm sure we'll be competitive. The team wants to win. It's all geared around that, and I'm sure we'll be able to meet our targets.
Can you give us some idea of the calendar and the sort of places in which you'll be racing?
Yeah, it's quite a varied calendar. We're going to be with the Chinese Ferrari Festival at Shanghai, June 16th, 17th. That's going to kick us off for the start of the season. We're moving on to Ordos in Mongolia, which there's been a few Super League races and FIA GT1 races there. We then go on to, we've got Zhuhai in China. There's also Malaysia, which is going to be fantastic, the Sepang circuit. And there's also possibly going to be a Macau Grand Prix at the end of the year for the Pilota, or for the R-Bar in general. So it'd be great if the series could get an entry with the Formula 3 event, because it's my favourite circuit.
Well, everybody's favourite circuit. Superb calendar there in terms of doing Asia. And it will open other doors, I'm sure, to other championships, and perhaps Japan might appear on the horizon. But before we get on to that, tell us a little bit how you're going to live your life then once the season gets underway. Where are you going to be based?
Well, I'm flying out to Hong Kong next Wednesday with my girlfriend. We're going to be based in Hong Kong. I've got a place out there for the first month in the centre. Give us a bit of time to sort of find a cheaper place somewhere in the outskirts of Hong Kong. And I'm going to be living over there, working over there, and just doing as much networking as possible to raise the budget. I mean, I was out there for 3 weeks. I just got back last week, and some of the people I was meeting, I really think we can make this work. Two guys coming on to my first race. It's the guy who makes all the batteries for iPads and phones and everything. I mean, big business. And all the people I've met, it's just been, opportunities which don't present themselves in the UK. No. So I'm really looking forward to getting out there and meeting more people. And once we get racing, we get some good results behind us. I'm sure we're going to be able to do some good business.
Well, very best wishes with that, and we'll do all we can to support you with publicity over here and perhaps over there as well, because the internet's global, of course. Really respect your ambition and your creativity in what you're doing, Dan, and as I say, very best wishes for that.
Thanks, Peter.